have you.
I have to put away my apple now. Now
You
look.
can keep eating it. Everyone would have to hear you in a normal podcast.
They have to hear. Guys,
I'm Rachel Jankovic. Becca's throwing away her apple core. Come back,
Hold
Beck.
on. I'm not. I'm saving it for later.
And look, here we are.
I'm Becca Merkel.
Going live. I can't believe we're doing this thing that
No.
we coordinated in advance.
I'm glad we didn't wear our matching shirts.
Yeah, this is the one, right? This little ruffle is
This
the one
one,
that she
yeah, but
thought
mine
she
is
bought my shirt.
Striped.
Yeah, so what have you been doing today other than breathlessly
Running
getting hair?
hither and thither. No, I've had classes and I like that we're both rained on. We just came
Deeply rained on. We
out of
just
the
got
rain.
here
Whew.
carpool because I
Yep.
thought I'd have time to get here, but I arrived outside in the rain at 3:59 and Becca was just pulling up also. So we ran through the rain and we have come. And look, hi ladies.
We are here.
All of you coming also because you bear with us for no reason we
You
can
do.
imagine.
You do. I told Rachel this already, but I feel a little unsure here because our normal routine is we both sit in the car seats and look opposite directions.
Yeah.
And Rachel does this one. She shuts one eye and lines up spots
Yeah,
on the windshield.
I like to do, you know,
It
with
does
like the
like-
bug on the windshield,
Yeah,
like
so
get it.
she's like half the time she's going.
And it does a lot when I do
Yeah.
that. It really adds
I know,
to the depth
but
of
we
the
don't
conversation.
look at each other half the time. We're just sort of like off this way, and now it's like, oh dear, I don't know if we can interact. You do have rain on your forehead. Okay.
I'm actually sweating. The sweat of my brow.
Anyway,
Well, we're going to try to pretend that this is not awkward for us to be in front of the
and
camera.
that there's three guys over there.
Yeah. It took all three of them to make us show up on time. So anyways, I have on my phone here, because you all know I've been so diligent.
Yeah,
I've been
they-
saving questions.
They know the dark secrets.
Yeah, they do. But I keep telling people I'm saving this. I'm gonna leave your questions. So I have questions, although I don't know. I guess if people are nobody's putting questions up. Everyone's just saying hi. But if
Hello,
a question comes in
everyone.
there, we'll just ignore it. So we'll just if you had a question, you'd be welcome to ask it, and we'll
Feel
try
free
to
to
notice
ask
it.
things that we won't read.
Right. Okay. So there was something that I wanted to. I actually already read this to Becca, but I still think we should talk about it here because I think it's hilarious.
Okay.
So as I've been
I know what
doing,
it is.
as I've been doing Department of Hell No, I have been getting submissions from people, and the submissions are quite a tour de force.
Lots of times they're me.
Yeah.
Because then I just send it to Rachel, and then I don't have to
She
think
does
about
do
it.
some. A lot of people send them to me, but this one is from somebody's social media account. I just think this one is hilarious. I can't help it. This is the one where it's a mom
Oh,
talking.
no, it's this one. Oh,
And she
Rach.
says, "Can I
Ah.
tell you?" She's talking about a 4-year-old. She says, "Can I tell you how we handle emotions in this household? Oils. They bypass the thinking brain and go straight to the feelings part of your brain."
You're treading on all the thin ices.
No, I actually
Yes,
think
you
that
are.
this corresponds beautifully
Well, it does.
with
but I
with
just
the
mean-
post that Brent Pinknall shared of the person who sees angels all over their house and thought they summoned a demon with the scrambled eggs that burned or whatever it was. Because this one says,
So keep going.
this is a mother, so her 4-year-old son handles emotions with oils, is how and she says, he responds best to
He
peace
doesn't
and calming
handle it
and
with oil.
grounding or other tree oils. I will either put 1 drop on my hand or apply it to his head and then let him sniff my hands. Or if it's one of those moods, if I can corral him, I'll just drip 1 drop on his head. Now, when Becca and I were talking about this, we got ourselves into like a laughing fit over the idea of if we carried this up into adulthood. Like, we were like, what if your husband had an oil to use to fight lust? So then you would have to have him getting it out.
I like the idea of just carrying it around in your pocket.
Yeah, but then you think like it's like a comedy skit of a husband and wife out, and he's tempted to lust at someone, so he's quickly, and then she's having to get out her oils to deal with anger, and it just escalates. It just keeps going,
so bad.
winding up and up and up because obviously there's a serious concern in there, which is that you can't deal with sin, because she's saying the oil is to deal with her son being angry, or to deal
And to
with.
be clear, nobody minds an oil. Oil is okay.
Well, I mind an oil in that
That's what I'm
moment,
saying.
but if it's an oil for a
Yeah. Oil.
cough, you're like, oh, this is a helpful
To smell
breathing,
good.
you know, whatever.
Lots of things.
We're not opposed to the oil
You just can't
all by
fight
itself.
your sin that way.
Right. And this was saying, it just makes me laugh to think of like, oh, here's my son. I'm going to send him out into the world. For his first job, I'm going to give his boss a little starter pack of oils to apply when he won't do what he's told. And here's an oil for in case he is not being focused. That this is the job of somebody responsible in their life.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I find this hilarious. And also, my husband just told me this yesterday. We had a lot of snow here, and that apparently all of the parents of the students at Washington State University, there was like major outrage on Twitter over the unsafety of their children having to walk in snow to go to classes.
Okay.
I was like outraged, like people flipping out, and a college boy who fell down on the side. A college man, I should call him a man, he's grown, fell down on the sidewalk somewhere, and his mother was on Twitter attacking the president of Wazoo about her son, and she went really around the bend because I think his mother was telling her son to go pee on the president's door about him having fallen down on campus somewhere in the snow. So those are good.
Wow.
Good times at
Wow.
Washington State.
Wow.
But my husband's comment was, this is bringing a whole new level to the idea of the snowflake generation. This is a whole nother layer of reality
Really funny.
laid
That's
on
really
top
hilarious, actually.
of it. Yes, but that wasn't a question. That was
No,
what I
and
wanted
it
to read to
also
you.
wasn't related in any way to the oils topic. I was waiting for it to tie in.
It was because I was saying,
We're going to have to tie the bow.
but I was so close. You should tie it for me. I was saying,
I know where you're
if
going.
you bring a little, if you're
we
thinking,
can't expect everyone out there is going to intuit it.
if they're here watching us, I think they can. It is that if you're thinking, if this is how you're going to train your kids to deal with their emotions when they're little, which is to not deal with their emotions.
No.
To have mom run around and apply some oil that will calm you. She says she leaves the room. She applies the oil and she leaves, and she comes back when the oil has dealt with it, basically, is the assessment. My point is that if you're not giving your kids, if it really is like that level, I mean, it doesn't matter that it's the oil. If it was a cheese stick you were making them have when they were having a sin, it wouldn't help.
No.
You know?
It's a cartoon.
Right. And so my point is that idea of trying to protect them or not give them the tools to deal with their own motivation problems, instead you applying things. That reminded me of the snowflakes at Washington State.
Well, that's true. But it reminds me, which is not really I don't think it's a really, like, morality tale, other than just don't be this mom. There was a guy we knew who was playing high school baseball. And maybe junior high. I don't know how old he was, but I know he was too old. He was, I think it was high school.
It was high school.
And he was in the outfield and got hit in the head with the ball. Which, okay, you're already in a little bit of an embarrassing moment right there because you got hit in the head with the ball. But his mother jumped the fence, like she ran down the bleachers and over the fence.
But she did like a almost superhuman jump the fence because she was a little short person, and she got
ran out there to the outfield to help him in his time of trouble. It just reminds me of, like, don't be that.
Oh, to be there at your son's first job, to run in and be like, here, this will be so subtle. I'll just put out my hands. Just help you. Let me just help you. It's just not, it's taken some things too far. Okay.
I like that you're just sailing with that one. I feel like that was an aggressive one to lead with.
Well, Becca's getting all soft on me.
I am the voice of reason in this relationship.
We did speak about that. Yeah, we did speak in advance. Like, the one trouble with doing a Facebook Live is there's no saying, just cut out that part. Just cut that out. Just, guys, if you didn't like that part, pretend that our editors.
You can just unplug if it's getting there.
Shut this thing down. Okay, quick retreat.
But I like you were about to when we were talking about the oils
if
of lust.
If you're out there and you're offended that we were making fun of any use of oils, then I hope you can see that we need to be better at being friends with people who think differently than, being like okay with being around people who think differently about these things. All right. Here's a question. Hi, I was wondering, it comes with a graphic of, I'm done adulting, let's be mermaids. Got it.
Always
I was wondering
helpful.
if you might consider speaking to the I can't adult today fad and what instead it looks like to turn a profit on our days. So apparently this is a phrase, turn a profit on our days, came from something that we said sometime, which I'm pretty sure we just were.
Are people talking about not adulting? Is that a problem we're having?
Becca, I'd like to bring your attention to something. Becca doesn't look on social media.
I'm not there very often.
She's not as much aware of.
Not as much. No.
When you say that, apparently she's not at all aware of it, because that one.
Well, no, I mean, I've heard the phrase before, but is this like an actual legitimate like trouble in the world, or is it more of a joke?
I think it's a joke that covers for a real trouble. I saw someone messaged me today a video of a woman in England somewhere who did a marriage ceremony to her duvet. That happened. That happened, and
I don't even have a thought there. It's
duvet
just kind of like
being
stop and
her
move on.
comforter. Not
I
like
got that.
here we think of a duvet as being the
The
comforter cover, but this was actually the whole comforter that she was marrying. But in the process, she was saying she just really wanted to help people with self-love, self-care. Sometimes you just need a duvet day, was what she said.
Okay, here's the thing, though. I have an observation.
It's the same
about
thing
this.
as I can't adult today. It's okay to just like stay in your bed all day and not do anything because you don't feel like it.
I did, speaking of how I'm not on social media, I'm not very often. I'm teaching high school kids a lot of the day. But I was in a particular feed of doom that I was looking at, not just for fun, but because it actually was, anyway, long story.
Becca doesn't go to feeds of doom for fun. She only does it for work.
But I was looking through this, and it's a lot of really awful, sad, double sad, self-care, self-love, body positive, love yourself, you're enough, everybody's enough all the time, we're enough. And it's like 50-50 that, and also I'm so sad I can't get out of bed. I have this sucking black hole in my life, and there's nothing that will comfort me. And everyone else being like, I know, I'm there. That's where I am too. That's how I am.
Yeah.
So it does give me that feeling that all the people who are spending all this time talking about everything is justified because it makes me happy. It does feel like the Sheryl Crow song of, if it makes you happy, it can't be that bad, you know?
Every
but the
time.
real pointed, next line is, if it makes you happy, why the hell are you so sad?
Yeah, it's a solid question. If you're doing everything that makes your heart happy, why are you so desperately always still needing the next thing to make your heart happy? Because you're not going to be happy.
It hasn't cheered you up since your last Instagram post.
So the funny part about the woman marrying her duvet, it wasn't funny. It was really depressing. But the funny part about it is just the idea that this is going to bring, it was somehow involving Valentine's Day, right? Because it was saying, don't feel so
really
depressed.
Hot. Sorry.
It's all right. We'll allow it.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So it was like we just want to help everyone realize that if loving yourself means just staying in bed all day and being sad, then do it. I mean, by all means, celebrate that and think, ooh, I think there could be more for us out there. Yeah. Okay, so I like that Becca, guys, we didn't know we were going to find out Becca had not yet noticed the I can't adult today
I've
trend.
I've seen it. I just didn't think we were, like, is there a movement of, like, I won't be an adult? Is that, like, a thing?
Yeah, because it corresponds with the bizarre entitled, what people would say.
I thought it was always, like, I'm tired of adulting, so I'm going to eat a donut or something. Not like,
well, but people
I'm
use it.
my whole life.
I think it's a joke to cover a serious situation.
Okay.
Because I think it's the thing where people are like, I'm entitled to have a job that pays me $100,000 a year, and and it has to be, like, it's a sense of entitlement.
You. I just didn't know we had, like, a self-identifying group of non-adulters.
No, I think it's just I don't know. Okay. All right, next question. Hello, I have 3 boys under age 3, and knowing you both went through little years with lots of little ones close together.
We didn't even answer the last one. We just derailed and went off and didn't talk about it.
She said if we could speak to the I can't adult today, and boy, we spake at it.
Go on.
We probably didn't come up with anything great about it. No, the real question was,
Just don't do that.
you're right.
Guys.
You're right.
Just
The second half of the question is, how can we turn a profit on our days? So I guess that means when someone doesn't want to adult, how do you turn a profit on and do it anyways?
I think my thought would be, do it anyways.
Guys, you needed us to step in with this insight into your problem. But okay, more practically, I would say turning a profit on it. I think it's good to sometimes just really deliberately offer your effort towards obedience to God and take a moment and say, I don't feel like doing this, but Lord, equip this feeble effort, like make this worth something. I'm going to try, I'm going to do this, and I'm doing it for your glory. And offering it to God in that way is productive. Because
and I think like trying to stretch yourself a little bit too, like trying to pick a goal that's just feels slightly too far. You know what I mean? Like just make yourself stretch just a little bit.
I'm trying to think about. She didn't lay out here if she means like it's really a trial. Like how do you turn a profit on a trial, or how do you turn a profit on what you don't feel like you can handle today? Like
right, just
what
the mundane
what just sounds hard.
I'd rather opt out and eat Cheetos.
One thing I think is helpful is if you think about adulthood, practically speaking, really being an adult, it's change that happens over time. You don't just spring into full responsibility all of a sudden. And so as we want to be sanctified and grow up in the faith and in real life, we want to be, when you said stretch yourself a little, it's continuing to work towards the goal of being far more mature than you are. Not thinking, I have arrived, I'm enough, this is enough.
Yeah, but I do think that everyone knows how this would work if you were training for something physically, or if you had a goal you wanted to get faster or more endurance or stronger or whatever it is. Everybody understands you would pick your goal and then you would gradually try and work up to it.
Right.
And you can't just expect to hop out of bed tomorrow.
Right, and you can't do that through the power of your own will. You can't be like, ta-da, today I'm going to do it all.
But if you want to make progress towards that, you would have to continue to stretch yourself and push yourself.
I can think of really dumb things in my own life that and I know I can think of dumb things in your life.
Thanks,
also.
That's good. Please share.
We're sisters, so I know more.
If you could bring up all the dumb things.
No,
I
was going to say dumb things in my life where I specifically decided I'm not going to make a big deal about this because it's not a big deal. Like, it's something that's really where you actually had a dumb, like I think you and I have talked about this, about something like, why would you ever think it's a big deal to need to wash your sheets and make your bed? When you might have that feeling of like, that's a big job, I don't feel like doing it. Or for me, like, I don't love unloading the dishwasher. It's not a job I enjoy. Okay. But it objectively takes like a minute and 30 seconds. And so why would you postpone that all day, making a big mess in your life because it was a minute and 30 seconds that you didn't enjoy or something? So throughout my life, I can think of things that were no big deal, but where you deliberately chose to not mind this work. Like, I'm going to mature past thinking this is really difficult, that I need to do this. Can you think of examples of things that you did that with?
Deciding I would drink black coffee just because.
Yeah. Oh,
speaking of adulting.
If we're going to be adults, we're going to have to drink black coffee. I actually did the same thing with black coffee. But it was more for me about, I need to drink enough coffee in my life that I need it to not also be calories. Let's just have this be a free and clear beverage and not one that's a little bit of sugar, a little bit of cream. So, but that kind of thing where you think, I want to be down the road here. Maybe not coffee is not a good example. Cleaning your house or taking care of something or making dinner every night, where you think you can get into a pity party of, this is so much work, why do I have to do this? Or you can say, grown-up people handle things like this. I'm planning to be grown-up people, so I'm going to learn how to handle it. That's what we're going to do. Okay. Sure, you ready for question number 2?
I'm ready.
Do you have anything else you want to talk about? I forgot to tell Becca that I was going to have us sing a duet. You can see I'm actually unsettling her here.
I brought some sock puppets.
Yes!
So that we could do a little thing together.
Okay, here it is. Hello, I have 3 boys under age 3, and knowing you both went through little years with lots of littles close together, I would love to hear any wisdom y'all have looking back on those years. What advice would you give a mom of young ones?
stay at it, it actually is a lot faster than it seems like in the moment. And it's one of those
The
funny
days are
things-
forever long and the years are forever short.
And the thing is, people always say to you, it goes so fast, and you think,
Pshaw.
you don't know what you're talking about.
But
And it turns out that things are cliche for a reason.
yeah,
It
people
actually
say it all the
really-
time because it's real.
It's like morning sickness, I think, where when you're in the middle of it, it feels like forever. You're
Yeah.
going to be sick forever. But then at the end of it, it's like, I don't know, was it 12 weeks or something? And 12 weeks ago for me now is like
So fast.
a blink. But when you're in it, it really feels
But I know I've said this
long.
on the podcast. When my kids were all little, when the four oldest were all little, that little stretch of shebang that we had going on, in that time period, I'm not joking when I say if Luke was gonna be late home from work, he'd be like running late, and I'd be, how late? He'd be like 11 minutes, and I'd be like, no. I'm
Yeah.
going to die before you arrive home. 11 minutes is 11 minutes past my human endurance. Like, I'm
Yeah.
going to be dead by the time you get home. And but that just sort of leaves. It just sort of
Yeah.
quits being that way.
And I have to say, though, the time that you put in there makes
So
an
worth
indefinite
it.
difference later. And
Mhm.
and the later really is long. I mean, you have to have, I mean, these are going to be your
Right.
kids for the rest of your life. And the formative time when they're all little, it's like bothering to get the foundation right
Mhm.
when you're building a
And it
house.
takes-
it's
and
really worth it.
It's hard. It's hard and demanding work, and it is funny. You know, I can remember it feeling so mind-bogglingly impossible to explain something like what a fuzzy voice is. To like you have four little fat faces looking at you for guidance
So
in the
funny.
world, and you're trying to think of like. And one of my friends always jokes about how hard it is to talk to your kids because you're being like, you're being self-righteous. And you're like, let me back up. Let me back up. And then you're trying to think, how can I get this into toddler words so that you can understand what I'm trying to tell you here?
Some of the time, we just brought those down into toddler words. So I remember with our girls, over dramatizing was a word that they knew early, like real early.
we
So
just call that
called
being a
it-
drama llama.
Yeah,
in
well,
our
we
house.
were like, you may not over dramatize. And so it's really funny when you have a little toddler girl who's trying to pronounce the word over dramatize. But it's a thing that they do well before they can pronounce it.
Mhm.
So
And
teach them the word, I guess.
right.
But I also think keep your sense of humor in it because it really is a hilarious time. Even the really difficult days are funny when you get a perspective on it. And of course, we all know that difficult times make the best stories later after you're out of
It
it.
doesn't mean I feel like I need to say here. I'm pretty sure I've told this on a podcast before. There's nothing when you're pregnant and emotional about things. It's not like having the emotion that things are difficult is wrong. It's quitting, giving up, thinking that doesn't
Yeah.
that in some way like voids the idea that this is your duty, that it's
Yeah,
hard.
no, knowing it's difficult is just you being a realist. But
Right.
it's also keeping it in perspective because the difficulties,
I think
you know.
well, they're the difficulties of blessing. They're the difficulties of something really sweet.
Yeah.
When
But
I was big
keeping
pregnant,
a sense of humor matters. I think it makes it
Right.
bearable.
when I was big pregnant with the twins, and when I say big pregnant, I mean big pregnant. I had a shirt that was some kind of triple extra large maternity shirt. I don't know, it was enormous, but to get the coverage over my belly, it had to be enormous. And so I had tied the underneath part because nothing is as bad as having that.
Half an acre of skin out on the town. Yeah.
You're like, I mean, it's probably no one has an angle on that, but just in case, it seems like we should cinch this in. We should like get a bungee cord involved and rig this in. And I tied it in a knot, and I remember my Aunt Heather just bursting into laughter when she saw me and said, "It looks just like a balloon," because this huge belly with a little not off the bottom of it. Anyways, at that moment in my pregnancy, there was one time when Luke came home. So it was with the twins, and they were both they were both in the 7 pounds. So I was huge. As Luke said in the ultrasound, "You're gonna have stretch marks on your forearms after this." And you can tell we're a good match, because I thought that was hilarious.
At the time, even.
At the time, I died laughing. I don't think that the ultrasound tech expected me to die laughing. I'm not sure what happened there. But there was a time when Luke was like, "What is wrong?" And I sobbed my way through an inventory of items that were on the floor that I couldn't reach. And beside the dryer, like, I can't possibly get that. And bless him. They remember that moment of him just being like, "I can handle it." Like, you should not have this problem.
I think I was brought to tears once about the things on the floor, but only because I couldn't get them without my pants coming unhitched. So every time, and it was just after 400,000 hitchings of your pants, you're like gonna scream.
When I realized, I guess it was when I was pregnant with Daphne. So it was my second pregnancy, and with Lena had been pregnant through the summer. So when I was big pregnant, I was just wearing like a pair of maternity shorts and a tank top, and it was all pretty attainable. But when I was pregnant with Daphne, it was in the winter, and I had a baby, and we went to the mall for some reason. And it was when the full stretch panel maternity pants had just come out, which was actually
They just come out. Those are the old school terrible kind.
No, the kind where it's like a full tube around your belly of stretchable material. Right. It was better. It was not the kind that you're talking about with the big. We're showing our age. Yeah. This was before the maternity technology had gotten as good as it is now, and I was wearing a pair of those jeans. And then you have, like, I don't know what I had on top, but it was a sweater. So it was like those jeans, and then a camisole, and then a sweater, and then a coat, and a diaper bag, and a toddler who couldn't walk in the snow.
Yeah.
And by the time I got into the mall, the pants had, like...
No, I know.
So the elastic was... The top of the elastic was at my waist, but then... So good. And now they have to be here for that. Sorry, guys. Just it's a women's podcast. Yeah. So, but the crotch of my maternity pants was at my knees, and I had to stop and like put my bag down, put the child down, and then what are you gonna do? It's like full on child at a talent show because you can't. How are you gonna pull this thing up? Because so it was like like trying to get your pants back up. I'm just saying, there's nothing quite as stressful as that.
Not good. Not good times.
It would make anyone emotional to have your pants.
Well, and I would go to the grocery store taking like 1, 2, 3 hitch, and then 1, 2, 3 hitch.
No,
it's not good.
Murder. All right, sorry.
I don't know why we're talking about this at all.
We slipped the point, but we never actually stick with it. But in the twin pregnancy, things were especially bad with mobility issues. So
why are you talking about this? The twins. You're pregnant with the twins. There's a story here.
Because I said I cried through all of I was huge, but I cried through all of the inventory of things
But I think even if you're crying about things you can't reach on the floor, it's good to be able to realize, okay, I can laugh at the fact that I'm crying about that now, and I can be done.
And we can press on, because I don't need to continue to have a pity party every day.
Because if you were to maybe start a truly sad movement about everyone feels sorry for me because I can't pick up the thing on the floor.
I think it's because I have been telling everyone to not let their emotions drive the bus lately.
She's just sharing. She's being transparent.
She has this moment. No, sometimes. It was actually to say that in all that discussion of saying don't let your emotions be disobedient and whatever, having a stupid, I didn't feel like I needed to, like, I don't think that there was a sin there in having an emotion that was stressed. The sin would be, and it wasn't like I thought I needed to confess the fact that I cried. I think I cried, and then I started laughing, and then Luke made fun of me, and we laughed really hard together, and we moved on.
Well, it's kind of, I do think some emotions are just wrong from the get-go, right? If you're like, there's a whole list of emotions that are wrong and you just shouldn't even be there in the first place.
Right.
Then there's a whole other host of emotions that are completely fine because you're a human and you have those. But then there's a moment where you can transition. So like, if you were, for instance, to catch a cold, there's nothing wrong with that. If you were to then turn into the drama queen about your cold, that's a problem. If you were to refuse to get better and turn into a hypochondriac, that's the word.
That is the
Not
word, but I don't
hypothermia.
think that
I thought I
if you
said
were a
hypothermia.
hypochondriac, you wouldn't have to get better. You would not have had the problem in the first place.
Well, I mean, you know, like you nurse it, you milk it along and try and get a lot of pity from everybody. That would be doing it wrong. And I think the same thing can be true of emotions where it's like, all right, that happened and I'm going to press on.
I know I've told the story before of the time when I was, who would it have been? Blair? Somebody, I was giving somebody a bath in our bathroom, and who would it be? Maybe Shad, I don't know. Chloe came in and she leaned, so I was kneeling on the floor with my arms in the tub with the baby, and Chloe came in and like something happened where she stepped on the shower curtain or pulled on the shower curtain or sat on the side of the tub on the shower curtain. Somehow she jerked it and the shower curtain rod fell down, and it was a metal one and it had all those little metal loops with the little balls on them. So in terms of noise making, you could not have picked a more noise makey situation. And I'm leaning into the tub and suddenly the curtain rod crashes onto my head. And all this metallic noise, and then they scatter all over the floor. So it was just a very loud, amazing moment. And it crashes on my head, and I'm like, look up, and Chloe goes, well, that happened. And I always think of that, like, so that happened. That happened, and then we'll just move on. Maybe I had a big emotional outburst.
And sometimes you gotta confess it. And then sometimes you just got to laugh and move on. But I remember one time, speaking of the little years and having a sense of humor, I do remember one time, huge pregnant, and one of the kids lost something under the bed, like, but way at the back. And you know when you're huge pregnant, like, what are you going to do?
Oh, this is why we did a Facebook Live, so Becca could tell the story.
Oh, really?
Yeah, this is what we needed to do live. We needed this, guys.
You might have to embellish, because I don't know what you think I'm going to do about this story to make it all that. Guys, it's not that good.
It is that good.
So,
this is brilliant.
I'm big pregnant. And granted, I was not as big as Rachel when she had the twins.
That's right. I take the record there.
But I was big. And the babies just went straight out ahead as if they were in there, you know, like this instead of curled up nicely. Anyway,
we've never controlled our babies in the womb very well.
To get anything out from under the back of the bed. And it was like in the guest bedroom, and so it wasn't even a twin. It was like it was a double bed or something, and it was in the corner, and I don't know why I had to get it. It was like, but it was a thing I had to get. And so I get down on the floor, and you can't wedge under, so I'm like sort of sideways, and you tweedle under there, and I still can't reach it.
Desperate.
So
apparently this is
like
really an important
a ruler
thing.
Or something to try to swipe at it, and of course now you're in there with the dust bunnies.
Yeah. No one wants to be there.
And the bed had a dust ruffle, so now I'm just inside. I can't see anything.
She has cut herself off from the outside world.
I'm under the bed, sort of, but wedged sideways badly. It was not at all cute. And then Knox, my oldest, went and just got on my back, like just decided to sit on me.
As a child would at such a time.
So I can't like see him because the dust ruffle is covering up my view. So I'm sort of shouting like, Knox, I need you to get off. And then in the middle of this moment, my contact pops out into the dust bunny. You know, like just the contact goes.
And you can't, like, and Knox can't hear you. You're like, Knox, get off. And he's like, you sound so muffled, Mama. What are you saying, Mama?
I can't reach whatever it is, and I'm stuck under the bed, and my contact fell in a dust bunny. It just was all the things, all the petty things at once. And I remember feeling like, you know, this is a time where I could cry or I could laugh, and I know which one would be more fun. And I had this
and especially if you laugh, you have the benefit of not having, it will always be funny. It will be so funny for everyone else.
And you don't have to then tell the story and then I cried under the bed.
And then Then I had to apologize to the neighbors because they heard me screaming
No, but
from
it just
afar.
kind of summed it up. You know, probably my pants were falling off too at the same time.
I
this
thought I
happened.
had to. I know I've told this story before, but why not do it now? And I was wearing flip flops, and I was busy about the house trying to get a lot of things done. And I went to run up the stairs, and my flip flop peeled. Like I kicked the corner of the stair, and my foot went on the stair, and my flip flop did not. And so it created this like wild knee jerk while I was carrying a Diet Dr. Pepper or Diet Pepsi or something. I had a can of something. And so as I fall, just biting it onto the stairs, which actually hurt quite a lot.
Yeah.
But it would not have been, it was still excellent. I'm holding this can and at like the sudden clench of, oh my word, I'm wiping out. I crush the can in my hand and it just sprays all in my face. Like it was just like as I go down, just whoosh, and then it hurt really badly. But it was so much better for laughing about it. It was, I don't know. I think that's something that we get asked about a lot is trying to deal with trials with joy and laughing about it.
Yeah.
And I think that a lot of that for us is how we grew up and how our family thought things were funny.
And enjoyed telling the story.
Yeah, but I mean
matters,
that if you told the story to everyone, we grew up in a pastor's family, and our grandpa was a pastor for a long time, and you could not get any mileage in our family on a story of what someone else. Yeah, if you were getting ready to warm up a sad story, that you would get a whole lot of flat face emoticons from the family, and probably a little like.
So did you?
Canada enjoy their sport cake? Like there'd be a lot of like, you should. There was no receiving audience for that.
No, I'm kind of just noticing a thing that I'm doing that's weird. Which is, I'm talking to you in the screen as if you're on the other side of a Skype call, and you're talking to me this way. And I think we have
Isn't she awkward about this?
I feel like we have a triangular scene happening, because I'm like looking at you here, and you're...
That's all right. There's three of us in this conversation, so it's all right. So anyways, and I think that having a family that thought it was fun to tell stories, that it was funny to tell stories, that stories of your own misfortune were funny. You know, that this...
Well, it's much better to get a laugh out at yourself, because, like, if you do the thing where you fall down on the sidewalk by yourself, you know, like you're walking and you just... There it went. There's the people who jump up and wheel around and look for somebody to blame.
Pretend it didn't happen.
They start scowling around, looking for somebody to pin that one on.
Or scowling, or just jumping up like, I hope no one saw me disgrace myself there.
Yes.
Like, make sure this
you can
happens.
laugh and realize I just did a stupid thing. There you
go. Or bringing this conversation full circle, you could get your mom to get on Twitter and contact involved people.
Defile somebody's property.
You could do that. You could do that whole situation. Yeah. I think telling stories about things is profitable for if it's in a good place. It's profitable for your own. It's enjoyable.
Soul.
It's funny.
It's good for your soul.
But it's also super helpful to do it with your children, because your kids knowing that you laugh at things that like it shapes what they
what they're willing to laugh at in themselves.
You know, when you teach your kids, when your kids are learning to talk, it's like you're holding a baby and a dog comes up and you look at the baby and I make eye contact with the baby and you're like, you make a face. Right? You teach them how. It's always like, yeah, it's a dog, and then you show them your own face. This is something mothers do without trying to do. It's an instinctive thing, but we show our kids how to have that. Like, how do we feel about this? I'll show you how we feel about this. You can mimic my emotion. Like, this is what I'm doing. Which is why it is so frequent that mothers pass on their own fears of things and their own, you know, whatever. And so I think that it's just a little more involved version of doing that.
Yeah.
Right, which is that I'm actually telling you a story, and I'm telling you the whole thing about how I processed it, that it got so funny that then at this time, and then you would not believe the next thing that happened, because then your kids process their own life that way. They process it thinking,
Yeah.
This is joyful and funny, and if something amazing happens to me while I'm out, I can't wait for dinner
treasure it up.
because
Yeah.
everyone needs to hear this.
Everyone needs to know.
Everyone
And then
needs to know.
Be a good audience for them when they try to tell you that. Like actually enter into the funniness of their stories and the things that happened. And
I'll say, having teenagers now, it's well worth the investment because, oh my word,
so funny.
The funny comes back fourfold. Like, this is hilarious. I don't know how we're going to live through this life.
It is.
Yeah.
And I know we've said this before too, but like sometimes actually pointing out to your kids, it seems really rude, but I think it's actually just good parenting, which is...
This could be for sale in our shop alongside of I Could Have Been a War Concubine. It would be, it seems really rude, but it's actually just good parenting. I would like everyone to notice that both of these are Becca quotes.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah.
Okay, good. I'll take them. No, but I mean, like when you actually point to things that their friends are doing, or kids that they see are doing, and you say, "See, here's what's wrong with that." You know, like, and it feels like that's
What's
gossipy,
wrong with that?
and that you shouldn't be teaching your kids to spot flaws in others. And of course, you shouldn't. You shouldn't be trying to teach them to be snotty, critical,
That's
uppity
because
kids.
there's a point of application.
Well, and what is the whole book of Proverbs other than a father telling his son, look out the window and look at that guy.
And like, look at the sluggard.
And see what he's doing wrong. And look at this one. And do you see what a bad job he's doing? and don't be that one. And so I think that there's lots of ways in which you can do that teaches your kids. It's that thing of showing them what reaction do we have. So like the tripping and then trying to find somebody to blame. I remember one time seeing a girl on the volleyball court who would miss the ball by, it was clearly coming to her. She would swing at it, miss it by a foot, and then wheel around and scowl at the neighbor.
How
and
could
be
you
like,
do that to me?
You got to get those. So the thing is that if you don't want your daughter to be that one, then when when you see people doing that, show them that that's not going to be behavior that we admire.
I think that the difference
in this
between
family.
it being gossipy and it being profitable for instruction to your kids is that you're actually making the connection to their own behavior.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
That we're not supervising other people and saying, oh, what a mess there. So many years ago, we had one of our daughters was having trouble at recess with, there was, I don't know, it was one of those special recess kinds of events that are hard to enter into as a parent, Only those who have taken gymnastics lessons may stand in this circle, and talk about cartwheels or whatever they were doing. And it was some kind of exclusion, and there was some little whispery things going on in the, there was like, it was like this weird, you know how little girls would do this kind of thing. I can't tell you something because it will hurt your feelings.
Oh.
I best not say. Yeah. There is a secret within me
There's a
that
secret.
if I let it out,
we all know it. You can't.
It will hurt your feelings if I tell you what you know. And so for instance, when our daughter was having a hard time with this,
I like the people who can't have a secret without letting everyone know.
There is one. There is one.
Yeah.
And boy, do you wish you knew. So we had this. We were dealing with this at the time. And the point that was super profitable for us was that it was like, no, you don't want to be like that. Like, this is unkind. Someone is being unkind to you. But at the same time, what the lesson we want you to take away from it is how are you tempted to be that same kind of unkind to others? What are the places where you behave exactly like that, and because you are on this side of it right now, you have a different insight?
Or when they're actually in the grip of doing it, you can point to, now you remember how we have talked about this with other people, and you know what it looks like when they do it, and you know how ugly it is.
This is what it feels like. This is how you feel like it's a good idea.
And now, look who is doing it.
Yeah, and so I think the difference between just being catty about other people is that you're actually making an application to your own behavior.
Which we could circle back around and draw applications to your hell no thing. Because that is what that is, which is, it's not just like, here, I'm going to make fun of everything stupid that I find. It's actually geared towards something important. Like, it's an important spiritual truth.
Actually, I had forgotten about the Department of Hell No, but it is exactly that, because sometimes you
You've
run
forgotten
into
about that.
I let it slip my mind. But there went my tip. Just shot on the floor. I'll get it, guys. Don't panic. So the thing about that is that when we're doing that, bringing to light, like, here's the lie, here's this. What we're trying to do is say, how has it gotten into your life that you're believing part of this? Because if it was totally out there and elsewhere,
Right.
there's no concern for Christians about it. But it
Yeah.
is actually the same thing that we struggle with in our hearts. And that's why it is helpful. Like, when you see a mom flipping out at her kids at the store somewhere, I hope you see the reductio that just got run
Yeah.
on you, right? The reductio ad absurdum, like when you take someone's argument and you run it all the way out and you realize that, oh yeah, in my heart, if you hear a mom at Walmart yelling at her kids, and you never do anything for me, and you're like, woo, but then you think, actually, I've had exactly the beginning of that same argument in my own heart, and seeing it worked its way out just makes you be like, Department of Hell No, let's not do that.
Indeed. Well,
Let's turn.
it's like if you were doing sort of weed identification out in the alley, because you want to be able to spot it when it shows up in your
Right.
garden and realize, oh, that's what that looks like when it goes hog wild and gets big.
Right, because you're like, this is what it is. This is what it is full grown. This is the one that you're trying to prevent. Okay, it's time for us to do a tip.
We
Did
gotta
you
do a
bring
tip.
something? Did you?
I thought about it.
Other than your sock puppets?
My sock buckets?
Puppets, you told me. I said, did you bring something?
I would bring my sock
Becca's like, what? Is this an organizational thing I haven't heard about yet? There was a time that Becca and I
had sock buckets,
when you were in
but-
England one time, Becca and I spent an absurd amount of time on the phone trying to figure out how to turn some vessel like a Pringles container or something
never do it.
into a skivvy dispenser.
That was a good idea.
We should have done like a do it along with us project. But Pringles, your children must have been very little. Maybe a oatmeal can or
I think
something.
it was an oatmeal can.
Yeah.
I don't know, but anyway, what I'm trying to say is that I got in the car, I ran back in the house to get it, forgot why I went back in the house, got an apple instead, came here, didn't bring my thing.
What are you going to bring?
Show and tell, guys.
What were you going
I
to
didn't
bring?
my show or tell. You do yours. You have one here.
Okay, she's not going to give a tip.
Well,
She doesn't have any tips. What was your...
I'm always the tipless one. It's not good. The end.
She makes up for it with pithy t-shirt sayings. All right.
Could have been a war
this-
concubine.
Artisan sourdough made simple. This is a good cookbook. And if you're into sourdough,
This isn't the recipes you use, though, is it? You're trying to keep yours
Which
trademarked.
recipes?
I thought
No,
you have your
I use
special
tartine.
loaf.
No, I love the tartine country loaf, and that one is available. Tartine country loaf is our like standby, the one I do all the time. That one is available online at New York Times. But this one, tartine is really like a beautiful kind of artsy bakery in San Francisco. So if you think in terms of really incredible big loaf of bread, yes, it's totally that. But when it gets into other things, it's a little fussy sometimes.
Okay.
So more involved.
Well,
this book
need to try
is
that.
this book is written by a woman who does actually have children and is feeding them. That is a real point. But there's the chocolate chip sourdough that I make is in here.
I need to try it because
It's really good. The focaccia
Yeah.
is unbelievable. The semolina breadsticks in the multigrain loaf. I make lots of stuff in here, and they're very low key. Country farmhouse bread. There's a lot of them that I make regularly, and it's very low key.
I'm
It's
just
a book
not
you
good
should
at
get.
maintaining my little dough, but no, my tip was going to be a Man's Thai brand that I like, but I didn't bring it, so.
It's relevant to all of our.
If you need to buy a Man's Thai, I would recommend a brand, but I can't because I forgot to bring it. And it has an unpronounceable name.
Of
and you have to
all
order
the
it from
words
England.
of tongue and pen, the saddest are these.
Yeah.
What might have been.
You
Yeah.
who live in England, you can just trot down and get it, but I order them from England. And
I
they're
see
good.
that my husband has just come in to ask us, what's a great gift to get your wife for Valentine's Day?
So get our Man's Thai from England.
Do that. That's what I
Yeah.
really wanted all my life.
Somebody else is waiting for your husband.
Yes, exactly. All right. Well, thank you all
it's
for
been
coming.
good, guys.
Thanks for putting up with us
You
week
did.
after week
You
when we show
muscled
up.
through.
Yeah, you did it.
You get to see us now. But next time we're going to put the cell phone on the dash and we'll both sit there staring out the window.
I think that I yawned. I didn't yawn today, and I didn't do any
she
weird.
didn't shut her
I
eye.
didn't do any weird line the dead bug up, which is kind of a pastime I've spent
It
my
is,
whole
but
life
the thing is, she
doing.
does this, but then she goes, oh.
Doesn't everybody do that?
Yeah.
I feel like it's a human thing to try to like follow the telephone wires. So you're
The
like,
thing I do is I look for the repeat in wallpapers, or like I spend my whole time
figuring
trying
that
to
out.
find.
But
yeah.
in the car, it's always the bug on the windshield lines
there's
up
not much to
nicely,
do.
or like a
Yeah.
smudge that you want to line up in the tree nicely.
Yeah, or you want to
Yeah.
get it right at that midpoint
One
of the line.
time-
Yeah.
This will be the last story, and then we'll really quit talking. One time
It's
in
hard to
class,
stop.
because I've done this
Yeah.
my whole life, I think it was in high school, that there was one time in class where I had my pen in front of my face, and and I started thinking, I wonder if I could move this fast enough that I couldn't see it anymore. Which, you know what, is all well and good until you're the teacher.
No.
And here I am.
I get this all the time from kids because they're in the middle of, they're absorbed in their own little world.
You
and
just
they're-
don't feel seen at that moment.
No, because they're sitting there and they're only 8 feet from you, but they feel invisible.
Yeah.
And they're going like,
that. All right. We're gonna have to let you go. All right. Goodbye. End this live video. Oh shoot! It shot off the. Did you end it?
no, you have to like turn it off.
End it.
Ow. We're still
It's
on.
still on. We're gonna be live all night.
Is it up?
I think it's done.
You think of yourself now, and then in 4 years' time, what do you want yourself to look like? And is the education that you're considering going to help you get to that place?
When you're a student, you want to become like your teacher. You're going to become like your teacher. Looking at NSA beforehand, I knew I wanted to become like the men who are teaching here.
Fireman, husband, father, doctor, no matter where you want to go, NSA is just such good preparation for the person that you want to be.
If you want to be an effective Christian, you need to be able to lead and shape culture. If you want to do that, no matter what your occupation is, you need to shape yourself, prepare yourself as a person for that job. And liberal arts is, I think, the best education you can have for that.
To learn more, check us out online at nsa.edu.